In this video, I'm going to talk about a thing called dodging and burning. And I use this in a different way than the actual dodge and burn tools, which are located here. The reason why I do it differently is because I want more control. And so what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to convert this to black and white just to make it easier. So in my black and white conversion, I'm going to drop the blues down a little bit just to create a little bit more dramatic sky. Maybe pull down the yellows slightly. All right, let's say that's how I like it. Let's say I want to actually apply that as well. In my layers palette, I can click on these, and on the side here you notice that it says merge layers, merge visible, and flatten image. So flatten image will flatten everything, and so now it's merged those together, and I no longer can adjust that. So usually I do that near the very end, but in this example I just want to reduce it to black and white because I think it's more simple in the way that it will explain the adjustments. So the idea of dodging and burning comes from a darkroom experience. So if I were to print this in the darkroom, there might be areas that I would like to darken to hide or conceal things or create more contrast, more shadows. Or on the other end, I may want to lighten certain areas to bring out more detail or, again, adjust contrast. So in this example here, I may want to darken like this area here, maybe this area here, maybe a little bit on this edge or the sky. But I may want to lighten this slightly, or maybe some of this. So what I can do then is just simply make a curves adjustment. And if I want to adjust this, I may name it shadows. I might darken this a little bit overall. Okay. I'm going to turn that off then. And I'm going to make another one. And I'm going to name this one highlights. And maybe just kind of lighten certain parts. And I'm going to actually reset that and visually beef this up slightly. Okay, I'm going to leave that as that. Okay, so if I turn on my shadows again, you'll notice that with every adjustment layer, it's created this little white box, and this is called a layer mask. And what we can do with that mask is use it to selectively apply whatever adjustment we've made. And right now, white will apply 100% of that adjustment to the image. And you can see that I've applied this curve, which is darkening the entire image to the background image below it. Okay. But what I want to do is just apply that darkness in certain areas. So I need to click on the mask, on that thumbnail, and you'll notice that there's little white brackets around that layer mask. And so what we need to do with that is make sure that when we're adjusting anything on the layer mask, that those brackets are there. And what I can do on this is paint with black and white. And you'll notice my colors, I have black in the foreground, white in the background. I can toggle those colors by using this little arrow, or the X key will toggle those colors. So that's how that works. So, and then my brush tool, which is right here. And you notice my brush size is very large. You want to make sure your cap locks key is not on. Otherwise it won't show you your brush size. And you can see the brush size is right up here. I can adjust its size here. I also want to adjust the hardness or the softness. And when I'm dodging and burning and making these adjustments, I like to have a very soft brush, so my hardness is at 0%, because I want things to really blend smoothly. Okay. So I can also adjust visually that brush size by the bracket keys, which are right located next to the letter P. So the left bracket makes it smaller, the right bracket makes it larger. I'm just going to pick that size because it's about the right size. Notice when I paint with black, it will start to lighten the image. And what that's doing is punching a hole in the this adjustment and allowing the background to shine through. So you can kind of see how that works. And so if I paint with white, it will bring that adjustment back. And if I want to paint with gray, I can do that as well. So I'm going to toggle this with white, maybe bring some of this back. But I'm kind of getting a little bit too much extreme on some of those, so I want to maybe adjust the opacity. So if I adjust the opacity of the brush, it's going to paint with a gray. Again, I'm toggling with X here. And it might allow me just to kind of blend things in a little bit more, kind of build things up. Again, if I don't like it, I can kind of go back, lighten certain parts. I can make my brush a little bit bigger or smaller. So you can kind of see how this is working in different ways. I may not even need my highlights option. So in some cases, you can just use the background image as is. But you'll notice that I've added quite a bit more control over lights and darks, and you're immediately drawn into this center part because it's the lighter part of the print. And I may want to reduce that even further just in that particular area. To kind of reduce the contrast, or draw you into certain parts of an image. And so we can control our viewer that way to enhance certain parts and draw attention to them and obscure other parts. So that's a great way of using these controls. Again, I can also go back to this adjustment here and increase or decrease the adjustment, which also gives me more control.